Hey guys, KHJM here. It's been a while, hasn't it? Sorry I haven't been posting many videos lately, but I think now is the time to start once again. I'm going to take a break from all this false DMCA drama, redo a rant that has needed to be redone for a very long time. This rant will be another one the ever so lovable GameStop. I wanted to redo this rant for a very long time because in my original rant I didn't cover on a lot of things I should have covered. Many of my points I made were not explained very well. This rant could be in multiple parts due to the fact that I have very much to say. But on with the rant, I guess. Now, first of all, a problem I've had with GameStop is that there is barely a price difference between a new copy and a used copy. Usually the case is that a new game is $60, but a used copy of the same game is $55, only a $5 difference. If someone were smart enough, they would buy the new game, but because of the recession, people will go ahead and buy the used game because it doesn't cost as much as they save money. But the problem is that a used game could have scratches and fingerprints on it. If they sold used copies of $60 games for $45 to $50, I can understand that, but why would you want to pay $55 for a used game that could have scratches, dirt, and fingerprints, when I could pay just $5 more for a new game with no physical flaws? If you don't believe me, you could go to GameStop yourself and compare new game prices with used games prices. There was actually this one time my dad and I went to GameStop and I went ahead and wanted to buy Kingdom Hearts for the PS2 because my old one I lost for some reason. This one was $20 and my dad found one that was $18 used. I realize now that was a huge ripoff because it's only a $2 difference. And luckily I was smart. I bought the new copy, but if I had bought the old one, that would be like one of the dumbest moves I ever made, and I would have been ripped off. One of the most annoying parts about GameStop is the fact that they don't sell any classic games. They only sell games from this generation, previous gaming generation, with the exception of original Xbox. They don't sell original Xbox anymore because they don't have much of a demand on that. And their excuse is that their classic games don't sell. Are you kidding me? Look at the Let's Plays on YouTube. Majority of the gaming community still play classic games from the 8-bit, 16-bit era, and 32-bit era. This is one reason GameStop isn't useful anymore, because I could just go to Walmart to buy a new game. Most GameStops underpay their employees. About half of all the stores tend to hire No, they don't tend to hire. They hire all the time. They hire the most extremely incompetent workers of all time. Actually, there was this one time my brother went to GameStop and he wanted to buy Super Monkey Ball for the GameCube, but instead of giving him Super Monkey Ball, they just took any disc with the word Super Monkey Ball in it, and they gave him the wrong game. They gave him Super Monkey Ball Adventure. This is not a very rare case, as many people have gotten the wrong disc, whether they give you the same game but for a different console, a different game, or just don't give you a disc at all. My brother also went to GameStop another time, and a woman from another country came in to GameStop. She barely spoke English, but she asked one of the employees if they had Super Mario Brothers on the PSP, and that guy actually looked on the computer to find if they actually had it. This is no joke. They actually did that. They did that. It's a no-brainer that Mario is Nintendo. There are no Mario games on Sony platforms. One of the biggest problems with GameStop is the fact that they give you barely jack crap for any of your games. It's the fact that they don't give you very much for a game, and then they sell it for a much higher price, at usually upwards to 600% markup. It's very rare of them to give you more than $10 for a game, and the only time that happens is if you trade in a game that just came out, such as, I don't know, Transformers War for Cybertron. The last time I traded anything into GameStop was about a year and a half ago, you know, like around the time I made my last GameStop rant. And I know you've heard this story before, when I traded in Power Rangers Dino Thunder for the GameCube and Spore Creatures for the Nintendo DS, because Dino Thunder sucked and Spore Creatures was just boring. Now, I didn't expect much for Dino Thunder. I expected maybe around $2, especially since I saw like in the store that they were only selling it for $5, and I expected around $10 for Spore Creatures, though at the time back then I thought I should have gotten $15. I got $10 for Spore Creatures, as I told you, but I only got 95 cents for Dino Thunder. You know, and you guys know how much that miffed me. So I got around $11, but I ended up not buying anything because there was nothing good I could buy with that money. This was the last, you know, things like these, that was like the last time I ever traded in games at GameStop. That was when I realized GameStop was a bad company. And I know many of you will say that they need these profits to run their store, but the point I'm trying to make is that they rip you off and they have a huge profit margin, so I'm sure they can afford to at least give you a little more money for your games. However, GameStop will try to suck out every penny from you, which brings me to my very next point. The second biggest problem with GameStop is the monopolistic nature of their company. Here is the reason why people go to GameStop in the first place. It is pretty much the only game store that sells used games and the only place most people can trade in their games. You would be lucky if you have alternative stores like Play and Trade and Game Crazy to buy trade in used games. I'm one of those lucky people because I go to Play and Trade a lot. Now to my biggest gripe about them. GameStop is false advertising. Their slogan is power to the players, yet they don't even know what their customers want. Their Super Smash Bros. Brawl tournaments, the only control option that I've heard of that they require you to use, is the Wii Remote and Nunchuck controller. While most gamers who play Brawl use either the classic controller or the GameCube controller. Heck, the Wii Remote and Nunchuck are the least used control option. Again, they don't sell classic games, but there are many gamers who still play classic games and would like to buy retro games they have never had a chance to play. They overprice their used games, they give you very little for trading in used games, they set up all their trade-in values into a computer and don't have multiple trade-in values for a specific game based on inventory. I don't know if this is true, but apparently once you buy a game from GameStop and once it leaves the store, and it turns out the game doesn't work, you cannot get a full refund and can only either get the game replaced or trade the game in for a lower price, even if you have the receipt. Worst of all, if you give back a game that does not work, they will still sell it knowing full well the game does not work. One really good alternative to GameStop, as I've mentioned in previous videos, is Play and Trade. Play and Trade is the true power to the players. Unlike GameStop, which only have one set trade-in value for each specific game, Play and Trade varies their trade-in values based on inventory of the specific game. Once I went to Play and Trade to trade in Mario Party 7, and they told me that because they had so much inventory in it on the game, that they couldn't only give me $5 for it, but could give me $10 if I came back later and there was less inventory on it. Also, although Play and Trade does not have nearly as much money as GameStop does, they still give you more money on trade-ins than GameStop does. They gave me $7 for Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, while GameStop would have likely given me much less for it, maybe around $2. I traded in Mario Party 6, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, Nintendogs, and Diddy Kong Racing DS. I actually got a total of $42 on it. Actually, Mario Party 6 was the highest value, even though it was on the GameCube. And it wasn't that great of a game. I would have gotten much less if I had traded in those games to GameStop, but I probably would have gotten around the same for Nintendogs and Diddy Kong Racing, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. The best part about Play and Trade is that they sell and let you trade in used games as early as Atari 2600. This proves that Play and Trade knows what gamers want, unlike GameStop. Overall, GameStop is not a good store, and I know many of you say, well, if you don't like GameStop, then just don't go there. That common quote is stupid. It's like saying, if you don't like school, then don't go to school. If you want more information about GameStop and how bad it is, I'm providing links to the first part of Magus X1's GameStop panel, as well as a link to the first part of Silent Rob's GameStop rant, excuse me. I hope you guys enjoyed this rant, and I hope to see you all later in the future. I hope to make more rants soon. This is KHJM Master, logging out.